Hello folks, welcome to our channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to replace the rear sway bar bushings on a 2007 to 2011 Toyota Camry. And we're going to, the bushings cost us about $24, and all depends where you buy them. And these, when you're doing this procedure, you want to lift your car completely off the ground so the suspension rests and it just relaxes, because you're going to be taking apart the sway bar where it connects into the strut, and you don't want to have it on the ground because one wheel is going to send pressure to the other wheel. So you want to actually lift it off the ground, put jack stands, let it rest on the frame, not on the suspension, and then you can proceed with the steps that we're about to show you. So you can do it at home, so that way you can save a lot of money on the labor. So with that said, let's jump right into it. So this is where we put the jack stand on our suspension of our car, so we relax. That's actually the tie point from the suspension of the trailing arm to the frame. So that's where we put the jack stand. We lift our car from this part right here, and then we put the jack stand right there. So that's where the trailing arm goes to the back, and there's the tire. So that's how we did it. And both sides, as you can see, there's the other jack stand on that side and this one on this side. So as you can see, both jack stands, tires off the ground, and we lifted it from about this point, both sides, one jack stand at a time. So here we have the two bushings that we're going to replace on the sway bar on the rear for Toyota Camry. And to do that, we have lifted our car, set it on jack stands, and then we have taken off both wheels on both sides, so we can have the suspension relax. And then what we're going to have to be doing is we're going to have to remove this at 40mm nut for the link kit that connects to the strut, both sides, so that way the sway bar can be freely. So we need to move it, and then once we do that, we have to remove this 12mm bolt and this 12mm bolt from the bottom, so we can get that sway bar to go away from the frame, and then get the old bushing out, put the new one in, and then we can bolt it back to the frame. But before we do that, we have to disconnect the link kits from both sides, so we get that sway bar to be freely. Now that we have disconnected the driver's side, we come over to the passenger side and we take off this nut so we can disconnect the link kit from the strut as well. So now that the sway bar is disconnected from the link kits, now we can start taking off the bracket so we can replace the bushings. So now as we're looking a little bit on an angle up from that below up, this is 12mm. There's two of them. We have to take them off, and this is on the passenger side. So we'll do one side at a time. So now you have removed the two bolts. Now don't just pull down. You gotta push it towards the front a little bit so you can unhook this hook from the frame. Now we can take off the bushing. So now what we do, we add some WD-40 on top of the bushing so we can get it through the side, so we can split the bracket from the bushing and then take off the bushing from the sway bar. So here's the old bushing that we took out. It has a cut on towards the top. The new one, here it is, has a cut on the side. This one is dried up, it's hard. This one is softer because it's new. And what we have is being compressed, this one. So what we have is this, the new one has two high points, so the bracket can slide right on top of it like that, and it's flush, and it's actually flush in the on the towards the frame as well. And don't forget that the hook goes towards the front, so you put the bushing into the sway bar by opening it, slide it over it, then slide the bracket over the bushing once it's in the sway bar, and then hook it over, and then put the two bolts and bolted it down. So now that we have put the bushing and then the bracket, we put the bolt on and we tighten it with a 12mm socket. Now that we have replaced the bushing on the passenger side, we don't connect the link kit yet because we have to go and replace the other one on the other side. So we have to play with the sway bar still for the other side. So now on the driver's side, we take out the two 12mm bolts so we can start taking the bracket and then the bushing. Same thing, we just push forward on the bracket so it unhooks from the frame. So we still have to, so that's what's holding the sway bar up in the frame. So now we throw some WD-40 in there so we can get the bracket to get unstuck and lube it up so all these components come out because they might be stuck in there. Here we have the bushing that we took out from the driver's side. Is dried up and the diameter looks bigger, so we're gonna put the new one in and start putting the bracket on and bolted it down. So what we did, we added some WD-40 so it lube it up, and then we can slide it into the bushing so it doesn't jam itself. So now we can put this and bolt it down. So now that we have replaced the other bushing on the sway bar, now what we can do is we can start connecting our link kits to the struts and bolting them down on both sides. We have put one side in, let's do the other side as well. So we have connected the other link kit, and now we have a brand new bushings on the sway bar for our car, for our Toyota Camry. All we have to do is we just gotta put the tires on. Well folks, hopefully this video was useful and helpful on how to replace the rear sway bar bushings on a 2007 to 2011 Toyota Camry. And the most important part about this is that you want to lift your car and set the frame on jack stand so that way the suspension relaxes and that way you can do the work with no complications. The job is pretty easy, you can do it at home, and that way you can save a lot of money. With that said, for friends who are watching our video haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like a video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal El Chano José.